ran across this Reddit, and this guy was mad that this Reddit was calling themselves Art Fundamentals. R/Art Fundamentals. And like, it was the first post. I'd never been to this Reddit before or anything. I was just curious about it. And he was like, I don't think you realize how frustrating drawing 250 boxes is. And I don't think you guys should be allowed to call yourself the only art fundamental Reddit. So this guy was basically bitching that drawing 250 boxes was frustrating. And I was like, don't worry about it. Frustration is how we learn. When you are frustrated, our brains are just wired to get frustrated, especially the older you get. You resist learning new things because it's frustrating. So if you don't know how to deal with your frustration as an artist, you are going to have a problem later. Trust me, I am a very angry artist, and I get frustrated very easily. Anyway, I went and looked at this other person's portfolio because they had done the 250 boxes exercise. And I scrolled through them, and they were all really great. Like, they had gotten the lesson, and they had learned, and it had obviously been an extremely good exercise for them. I mean, good on them. But this is also work that you do for yourself as an artist. You're not supposed to, like, show it to other people and, you know, get praised for it. Like, it's boxes. And I realized that I was like, wow, I understand why this Reddit is so boring. Because even when you're doing good work, the only thing you have to show for it is 250 boxes. So I went back and edited my comment to this dude, and I was like, if you are too proud to draw a box, and you find drawing a box frustrating, then you haven't drawn enough. Because if you think the problem is the drawing, when you are trying to get better at drawing, you are going to be frustrated. Drawing is not an easy skill, and drawing is a skill that needs repetition. You have to do it over and over and over again before you start getting good. And I think a lot of young artists don't realize that because they're like, well, I'm frustrated. It means I must not like this. It's like, I will raise you one horse. If you think anything is difficult to draw, I will raise you one horse. It's taken a long time to get good at horses. And I've drawn a lot of horses. It doesn't mean that I know how to draw cars, which I don't know how to draw, or buildings. I am really still kind of bad with perspective and making all of the shapes obey. So don't be so hard on yourselves. Like, people are always like, well, it's frustrating, so I must not like it. It's like, no, it's frustrating because your body is adapting to it. You're creating new neural pathways, and you are doing something physical, which is tangible to your body. Your body likes to do physical stuff. What? I don't care what people say. We were not born to spend 40 hours a week in front of a computer screen. To do something like that is tactile, and that's a big stimuli to our monkey brains. We like to paint, we like bright colors, we like stuff that we can stick our hands in and make stuff with, like clay. It is all very physiological to draw and to want to draw, and very physiological to get frustrated by drawing. So I deal with depression a lot, and sometimes I can't draw that day because I hurt too much or because I'm having bigger problems than my ability to draw that day. I am trying to use art more as an outlet and a celebration and something that I do for fun, but I have a real problem with it. I don't like my own work. Jaw Cooper said that was a good thing. And I am still frustrated by my art. So some days you don't want the frustration and depression at the same time. And I do have a hard time with that. Don't be too proud to draw boxes. Especially if that's like all you can do that day because your life fucking sucks and the world is on fire, draw boxes. I started drawing boxes, and It was like the most amazing thing that had ever happened to me because I had spent the last 15 years learning how to draw what I see. That's what they tell you, right? Draw what you see. And drawing structure was really by the wayside. And in my art classes, I'm going to sound like such a fucking snob. I was the big fish in the little pond. You know, there weren't a lot of people around me who were as talented as I was. So the teacher would be like, hey, you already know what you're doing. So I don't need to teach you. And I missed out on a lot of fundamentals. Especially when I was young, I would have scoffed at the idea of drawing boxes. And now that I'm older, it's like, no, no. This is like what seasoned artists stroke their chins about and reminisce. Like, why, when I drew my first box, I knew where I was on my artistic journey. So, I want this art channel to kind of be a place where you can let your negative flag fly. It's okay to bitch. Not at me, but it's okay to bitch at like what your life is like. I think more people need to complain because everything is terrible. And there was a TikTok that summed it up recently. They said nobody's trying to fix anything. They're just trying to make enough money so that the things that are wrong don't affect them anymore. And whew, your girl is down here. I made $12,000 last year because I was full-time, nothing but Social Security disability. And all of it went to my rent. And I have paid for half of a mobile home that I do not even own. And they wanted to kick me out. And that was like a gigantic anxiety attack. So I have been dealing with some shit, you guys. And if you have been dealing with some shit, feel free to like say so in the comments, or make it motivate you to draw, or motivate you to make a social media post about negativity. I don't care what people say about, oh, there's so much negativity in the world. That's because the world sucks. And a lot of people are unhappy right now. And in America, that is a cardinal fucking sin to not want to work and to not want to feel like shit because you work. And people are like, oh my God, what are we going to do without capitalism? And it's like, well, it's going to collapse on its own in the next 20 years. So don't worry about it. You know, we need to be figuring out now what we're going to be doing without capitalism, because one way or another, capitalism is falling apart. And history repeats itself, because in The Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck talks about what a tragedy it is that people are starving. There's a man who nurses off of a woman because he's so starving to death. And they're throwing milk out in order to raise the price of milk artificially. They're not letting people have it. They're just throwing it out. And that's like 100 years ago in America. Give or take 30 years. I'm pretty sure The Grapes of Wrath was about 1930s depression. I haven't read the book. I don't like John Steinbeck. Regardless, history is repeating, and it's okay to not be happy about it. So I just wanted to let people know that this is kind of the place I want my channel to be. I know sometimes I come across as very goth, and I don't mean to. I'm very monotone, and I don't mean to be. I sound like a cynical person because I am a cynical person. My art is a refuge. It is an escape, and it is about things that I wish were real, because the fantasy worlds I've made up and the stories that I've made up to cope with a lot of my shit are very important to me, and I value them, and I value the art. I've learned that I need to value the art. So I want people to learn to value their art through a nihilistic negative path if you want. There's lots of people on YouTube that are like super positive and la la la, art is therapy, I love art, and every mark I make is sacred. It's like, I would love to think about my art like that, but I can't. And I just want to get better at my art. And You're going to see a lot of horses on this channel, but you're also going to see a lot of fantasy stuff that I wish I could be doing, because I kind of got my heart broken by self-publishing a book, and I have not really written since COVID happened, and I feel like that's a problem. So I'm going to be working through some things, like while I post stuff. Sometimes I don't have, drawings or things like that, but I do have things to say, and I want to say them because they're important to me. And I guess I'm interested in hearing what other people have to say back, because nothing invites a conversation like negativity. When you are given permission to be negative, it is fantastic. And I don't think society gives us enough opportunities to be cynical. We are a generation of cynics, and it saved us. It saved us from the same shit that makes us hate our parents now. I hate my parents. I hope everybody here hates their parents. But when it comes to boomers and, what they did to sell us down the river, it's kind of hard not to hate. And you can hate about anything here. Not like bigotry or anything. Fuck off with that. But you can hate on things here, because I want this to be, if it's a safe space, you should be allowed to be negative, because that's what everybody says. And there's a lot of policing of negativity these days, when negativity gets shit done. I don't care about any of the other benefits of toxic positivity. Being negative gets shit done. You either hate that you're such a negative person and try to be better, or you try and make the most of it while you're down there, like J.D. Salinger. There was a guy who said, "Mr. Salinger, I tracked you down. Your book, Catcher in the Rye, it changed my life. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart how important that book was to me and my ability to live my life. I am a better person because of your writing." And J.D. Salinger's like, "Do you belong in a mental institution?" And kick the guy off his lawn. And that's the kind of person that I want to be. I want the freedom to be as negative as I fucking feel like, and make beautiful things that will make people feel better. But don't come to me with how it makes you feel better. I mean, do, with money in your hand. But I do this art for myself, I do this channel for myself, and I want to emphasize to everybody my thinking. And this is just important to me. So, thanks for listening to my rant of 10 minutes and watching me draw. Thank you. This is a copy of Blue Capriccio by Sophie Brown. This is a study, by the way. And I'm going to leave a link to the original that I copied and did a study of. So the plan is to hopefully do a painting like this a week. There's several other pieces that I would like to do as a study, and I want to do some kind of painting exercises, like how to do a very simplistic kind of horse. So if you like this kind of stuff, there will be a little bit more of it. This is just study work that I'm doing right now.